I was also an extra on Quick and the Dead, and that was fascinating to watch as well. To watch how he handled the big stars. I mean, he
Hmm.
had Sharon Stone and Leonardo DiCaprio, and
Oh,
gee,
DiCaprio was in that.
yeah, it was
Huh.
his. He was 17. He'd been nominated for an Academy Award for What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Welcome to episode number 8. I am Benjamin Vomastic, and I am joined today by Bill Vincent. Bill played Jim in our upcoming production, Hometown Summer, and he's been in an extensive amount of films, including Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, and For Love of the Game, to name a few. He also taught Sam Raimi back at Michigan State University, and Bill still teaches today at Michigan State University. How are you doing today, Bill?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So, just to kick things off, what got you started in the film industry and why are you passionate about film?
Well, I love film from the time I was a kid. I probably started because my mother would take me to a film every week. I'm not quite sure why she never took my older brother as well. I'm puzzled now. I never thought about it before, but then because he was only 2 years older. So anyway, I loved film, and of course, when I was in college, there were no film classes at Kalamazoo College,
Oh,
or
okay,
at,
really?
or at Yale, where I did my graduate work, or anywhere else in the country, really. I think except USC, UCLA, and NYU and Columbia. I think those were the only schools where film was taken seriously enough to have classes.
Yeah.
So, and I also became, I reached the age of individualistic intelligence just at the right time for uh, the onset of the great movies of the art cinema, Bergman and Fellini and Truffaut and Rene, all of those great film directors. So it was so exciting. Every week you could expect a new one out that would sort of change your whole view of what films could do.
Hmm.
And before that, I had been a great admirer of Hitchcock's work
Oh,
without
yeah, I'm a big Hitchcock fan as well.
without thinking of it in any kind of analytic terms. Just it felt it could take you away. Anyway, I came to Michigan State in 1965.
That was when you began teaching?
Yeah, 59 years now. Um, and I taught for a I taught a course called Humanities, which was a required course for all students in Western civilization. And one of the good things about the program was that you, when you every once in a while you were given a course of your own choosing, of your own making.
Hmm.
And I think the first course I did actually was a Hitchcock course, and then an introduction to film course. And with a bunch of other faculty around campus, we gradually put together a film concentration. Um, and then that matured over the years. And again, there were classes everywhere,
Hmm.
and um, the man who was in charge of it retired, and I took over, and then humanities was eliminated um, because we were getting all those credits, and other other departments wanted them, and I went into the English department and took the film program with me, and so that's where it ended up, and gradually over the years, I worked hard to try to to improve its position on campus, and then since then, others have taken over, and finally, it's become a major and a minor, and all those other things. And so, since 1991, I've been able to teach film exclusively, which has given me great pleasure. And
Yeah, wow. So you really helped pioneer the film program at Michigan State then.
I did, and I also
That's
started the
awesome.
started the study abroad program, Film in Britain, which has been very successful ever since 1986 when I started it. And for a while did a filmmaking in Mexico program as well, which was quite successful. So yeah, and I saw a question on your list of why I did this, and I realized part of it. I mean, part of it is, of course, the students and watching them get excited about films and learn
Yeah.
about film is very satisfying. But also, I get to see all these movies that I love. Um, I'm always amazed at people who say, "Oh, I don't want to see that movie. I saw it once before," and I think, well, once ain't enough.
No.
Uh, I've seen Rear Window probably 50 times,
Yeah.
and I
That's a
still,
great one. That's probably my favorite Hitchcock film.
yeah, well, that or Vertigo, one of those two. And every time I see them, I see something new. So
Yeah.
that's exciting. And and then I get to see all these new. Today I showed my class Kelly Reichardt's Meek's Crossing and First Cow, and I was sort of really thrilled to see those again because there's, you know, one of your questions was what do I feel optimistic about? I feel optimistic about the ability of filmmakers like Kelly Reichardt to reinvent film
Yeah.
and make it into something entirely new. This whole movement of slow cinema is fascinating to me. And also, this is a career which has given me a chance. First of all, I teach screenwriting,
Yeah.
which came about purely serendipitously because we had nobody to teach it. And I said, okay, I knew nothing about it and I was terrible, but I got better.
Yeah.
And then started writing scripts on my own.
Uh-huh.
And several of those have been made into cheap films, but I think satisfying. And
Yeah, were it made by students or by who?
sometimes, yes. Sometimes
Mhm.
I worked with a guy named Jeff Burton um, who was a professional, and we made several low-budget horror films.
Mhm.
Uh, and he's still looking for money for his latest one. And I
Yeah.
also got a chance to do some acting, which I like a lot. And
Yeah.
thank you
What what
for putting me in your film. That was a
yeah.
great experience.
Yeah, oh, it was a great experience work with you as well. Yeah. No, thank you for coming along. I'm very happy with the work you did.
Good. Well, just keep me in mind for your next one.
Yeah,
I'm available.
absolutely. Yeah, so when did acting start then?
Um, Interesting. I did quite a bit of stage acting when I was in college,
Okay.
and
What
then
did you major in? Were you an English major?
no, I was a history and philosophy and political science major.
Uh-huh. And you did acting on like as a hobby on the side?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I went to Yale as a history major.
Hmm.
Uh, Wrote my thesis and sort of got bored with history. I thought, well, yeah, I mean, I love to read about history and I love to see movies about history, but I don't, it doesn't interest me as a discipline.
Yeah.
So it was a pleasure to sort of reinvent myself, which I've done maybe 3 or 4 times now,
Uh-huh.
which is good. It's nice to keep yourself fresh.
Oh yeah. So you did a lot of stage acting while you were in college?
Did, and then I did quite a bit of stage acting for a while in the 70s
Hmm.
with local theaters. And then I don't know when I was first, I think it was the 90s that I first started acting. Um, I mean, I was not, by the way, in Evil Dead.
Oh, I
Uh,
thought it says on IMDb that you were.
you know what IMDb says, and I keep explaining to them that's not true. I am in the credits as a fake shemp,
Yeah.
but a fake shemp just means someone who helped out. And I did. I helped out. I went down to Tennessee where they were making the film. I went down with Ivan Raimi, Sam's brother,
Yeah.
and it really was sort of fascinating to watch because Sam was quite clearly at the age of 19 a genius and could do all sorts of fascinating things. So I stayed for a week and then we came back home to celebrate Christmas, and then said to my wife, "I'm sorry, but I got to go back down there." So I went back down for another week
Yeah.
and had a great time at it. Although I understand that while I was down there were all kinds of unhappinesses among the cast and crew, but I was unaware of them.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, Sam was sort of forcing some of them to stay longer than they wanted to, and he was he was a little bit unsympathetic to the women in the cast, shall we say?
Mm-hmm.
Pushed them hard. I mean, what really struck me about him was that he was able to get people to do what they didn't think they could do,
Mm-hmm.
and that was true of the actors. But sometimes his methods were kind of heavy-handed, shall we say?
Yeah. Okay. I think I
Yeah.
get what you're saying. Yeah.
So anyway, it's very curious because at the Tribeca Film Festival, which I just attended in June,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Jill Petrikis, the director of the movie that I was acting in,
Mm-hmm.
that was at Tribeca, singled me out and said, "Here's the guy who saved Evil Dead. They were having troubles, and he rushed down there to save the day." And I thought, that is not even close to the truth. That has nothing to do with what actually happened. And I told that to Joel. He said, "Well, it doesn't matter. That's the legend, and you're stuck with it. So I want the world to know that is not my idea." I was in Army of Darkness as an extra.
Okay, you were okay. I got that one right at least.
You got that one right, and I was in For Love of the Game.
Yeah.
And the story about Army of Darkness is an interesting one because although I was an extra, I was a pretty visible extra, and at the end of a week, I had come out, and at the end of a week, they said, "Well, why don't you stay?" And I said, "Well, you have to pay me because I had a job for the summer teaching, and I needed
Mm-hmm.
the money." And they said, "Well, we can't. It's not in the budget." So I said, "Okay, sorry." And I went home, and then when I went to the premiere of it, there was this other guy in it playing the same role I had been in. And
Mm-hmm.
they said, "Bill, where did you go? We had to hire a Bill Vincent lookalike." I said, "Well, you could have hired the real Bill Vincent had you wanted me."
Yeah.
But and yeah, anyway, and then there was For Love of the Game, and then I was in the Evil Dead remake that was done in New Zealand.
Uh-huh.
Rob Tappert, Sam's partner and also an ex-student of mine,
Yeah.
asked me if I would come to be an extra in that.
Yeah.
Although, not, I guess an extra, but although I did get credit, and and the university sent me out there, so I was in New Zealand for 10 days working on that, and
Oh,
I'm
nice.
in the film. This much of my face is in the film for about
Yeah.
that long. Actually, if you see the trailer, you see me better than you do in the actual film. But it was fun because I got to do a lot of interviewing. Uh, there was a camera crew from Michigan State along with me, and
Yeah.
they were recording my interviews and so forth. So that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you are.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. Those are some fun stories. Good to know about Evil Dead that IMDb has it all wrong.
Yeah, and they won't change it. They think they know they think they know better than I do what I did in it.
So, when did you first come in contact with Sam Raimi? I know he was a student of yours at Michigan State.
He was a student of mine in the humanities class. I'd already had his brother Ivan
Yeah.
in 3 or 4 classes. I'd already had Rob Tappert in 3 classes.
Yeah.
Uh, I had Rob's sister Mary Beth in class and so forth. So he came along and he took 1 semester of humanities. He got a 2.5, which he's never forgiven me for. Um, it was a Western civilization with the addition of films, history films, and those interested him, but the rest of the class didn't particularly. So I thought he did, 5 was good, but he always thinks he should have gotten a better grade. Actually, tells everybody I gave him a 2 point, which is not true. So that was that, and then I would have got. I don't think I would have. We would have continued in contact had it not been for his brother Ivan, with whom I'm still very close friends. Ivan just came to my office one day after the last class in December and said, "Hey, Sam's making a movie down in Tennessee. You want to go?" And I said, "Yeah, let's do it." So we did. Drove down overnight and found Sam squatting on the edge of a hill, having not slept in 24 hours or something like that, just staring at that cabin. That's the main location for the film.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that I had to. I think he was a bit suspicious of why I was there, what I was doing there, and I think he thought I was going to try to tell him how to direct. And it was very clear to me quite early that he knew much better than I did how to direct. I just did what just did whatever needed to be done. Mostly kept the log because none of the young guys wanted to do that.
Yeah.
They wanted something more exciting. I got to carry the DP around in a carpet for the tracking shots.
Yeah.
And those were, that if you watch them, they're really quite smooth. I think we did a good job at that.
Yeah.
And just generally just did whatever needed to be done. But got to watch it all. It was great.
Yes, I'm curious. A question that just came to mind when you were just speaking on him and your experience with him on set. Not to put you on the spot, but I'm curious, what have you noticed from his directing style, from him on set? What does he do that makes him so special?
Well, he has a very clear idea of how he wants to compose a shot. He's very much influenced by comic books, by comic book framing and comic book mise en scène. He loved comic books, still does love comic books. So he got a kind of comic book look to it, and also a style of acting which was, I think, pioneered by Bruce Campbell, who was the third member of the partnership between him and Rob Tapert. And his acting is kind of comic book as well, or fits the comic book style. And you see other actors come along afterwards doing the same thing, but I don't think they do it as well as Bruce does. I just knew from watching it that he had a great visual sense. There were shots in it which were astonishing, I thought, and also his ability to get people, as I said, to do what they didn't think they could do, and also his ability to handle many different things at once. I went I was in for Love of the Game, and got to watch him at work, and there was a moment when between shots he had members of the crew wanting him to tell them what to do with the window screens, whether he wanted them down or in to sort of shut out the outside light. A member of the crew saying, "Hey, we've only got the babies for another 10 minutes because you can't keep babies for forever." And he had a room full of babies. What was the name of the actor? It slipped my mind. It's silly because he's so famous. Who's the one who does Yellowstone?
Oh gosh.
Oh. Here he is. The biggest stars in the world.
Oh,
and we don't
Costner.
remember. Kevin Costner, yeah. Kevin Costner was at another ear as telling him how he would direct the next scene. the extras were wondering where they were supposed to go next, and so forth. And he's just taking this all in and um, he's remaining calm. He always wears a suit and tie to the set, and uh, and
Interesting. Okay.
and never loses his cool. He just goes with it. So it's interesting. Uh, so yeah, I was in. I was also an extra on Quick and the Dead, and that was fascinating to watch as well. To watch how he handled the big stars. I mean, he
Hmm.
had Sharon Stone and Leonardo DiCaprio and
Oh,
gee,
DiCaprio was in that.
yeah, it was
Oh,
his. He was 17. He'd been nominated for an Academy Award for What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
that's a great movie.
Sort of swaggered
Hmm.
around the set with sort of twirling his guns and and so forth.
Well,
Uh,
was he a lot to deal with?
he was not bad. Sharon Stone um, had her people with her,
Uh huh.
and after every shot, she would consult with them as to whether the shot was good enough or not.
Ooh, that sounds like a pain in the ass to deal with as a director.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't think it's he sort of. I don't think he sort of was annoyed by it. I think it. I mean, she was the kind. She was big enough star that she had that right to do it, and I guess he
Yeah.
accepted it. Um, there was an actor, the guy who played the man next door in Home Alone, played a doctor, and he was supposed to. There's a scene, it's a series of gunfights, and at the end of one gunfight, the guy is lying dead or dying on the ground, and the doc comes up to look at him, and he's got a message for the doctor, and so Sam decided to shoot it through the bottom of a wagon,
Hmm.
so frame within a frame, and it it only if you were upright, you would be cut off at the waist. So there was a shot. He tried a shot, and the guy uh, tried to give his message to Doc, but Sam said after the shot, Doc, you were out of shot. We couldn't see your head, your face, any of that. Could you get a little lower? So the guy said, the actor said, well, yeah, I could try to get a little lower.
Hmm.
So they did another shot, and he got a little lower, but here it was cutting him off just below the chin. And Sam said, Doc, we're still not seeing your face. You've got to get a little lower. And the actor said, well, I don't have any motivation to go lower. So, so the guy on the ground, the actor on the ground said, how about if I just grab him by his shirt and pull him down to me? And Sam said, oh, yeah, that works for me. Does that work for you, Doc? And the actor said, yeah, that works for me. He said,
Hmm.
that's what I did. I'm sitting there thinking, this is a professional actor and he can't find the motivation into the shot. Oh, I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah.
But that was a fun shoot. I mean, there were great character actors there. Pat Hingle was there. I think it was his last film, and Woody Strode was there. It was his last film, and so that was fun. Alvin Russell Crowe was in it, of course.
Uh,
Uh, just everybody,
yeah. Oh, that sounds
and
like a
there was
great
amazing,
experience.
amazing shots
Uh-huh.
in it. What Sam called his cheesy vertigo shot, which combined a dolly in and a zoom out.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that sounds like you got some really great stories. You got a great wealth of experience, and I'm curious, like based on all of your experiences, both, I mean, in acting and writing and teaching, what advice would you give to someone looking to get into the industry?
Well, I think there are lots of different pathways.
Hmm.
I think first of all, be patient. Don't
Yes.
expect don't expect to be directing the next blockbuster the day after you get out of school.
Yeah.
That has happened to me. I've had students go out to Hollywood and get fed up after a week and come back home because nobody hired them to direct a movie.
Yeah.
Um, I guess I would give them the same advice that I heard Sam and Rob give when they visited Michigan State last, and
Hmm.
that write a script that you can shoot around with the people you know or
Hmm.
with the resources you have in the location you're in,
Hmm.
uh, and use that as your calling card. I
Yeah.
mean that's what Evil Dead was all about. It was a calling card movie,
Yeah.
and it worked.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, so get material that you can do yourself. I keep telling my screenwriting actors, why are you writing a film set in Altoona, Pennsylvania? Do you live there? Have you ever been
Yeah.
there? What's wrong with Lansing, Michigan,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, or they don't seem to ever want to write about something happening at Michigan State. It's always like Oxford or Harvard or no.
Yeah.
Wait. No. You don't know those places. So there's that. But also, graduate school is not a bad idea. The good thing about graduate school, film school, is that you get to know people and you get to create networks that quite often pay off.
Hmm.
I know Michigan State, and I'm sure U of M too, have lots of alumni in LA
Hmm.
who help each other out.
Hmm.
Northwestern does, I know. Wisconsin does.
Hmm.
Uh, so that's a good thing. Or just go to Hollywood and throw your hat in the ring and see what happens. But again, don't expect it to happen overnight. It's going to take some time and some hard work to do it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I assume when you're saying it, if you took that third path and went to Hollywood, I assume you're thinking like just get on any set you can, volunteer,
Sure.
try to do whatever you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing you can do is just look at the trades, Variety and the others, and see what films are going into production, and just
Hmm.
write to them and say, look, do you need any PAs?
Hmm.
Uh, and if you get a PA job, then be sure to be charming and first of all, always be on time,
Yes.
always do what you're told, and then also be as charming as you can be, and people will remember you
Hmm.
and say, hey, let's get that guy. Remember what was his name, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think that works better than anything is to make that kind of impression.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, but I like your way of doing it too. What are your ambitions, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to keep on going with making the sort of films that I've been making, just
Hmm.
comedic feature films. I really love the genre. I really love that style of like the late '90s, early 2000s comedies. I mean, I personally think that there was nothing broken with that style of comedy. So I mean, I'm kind of
Yeah.
doing what I can to try and bring it back little by little. And yeah, I mean, as an end goal, I would like to do this professionally, but I really like the independent space. And I mean, someone that I really look up to, Kevin Smith. Are you familiar with
Uh-huh.
the? Yeah, he makes these independent films. He very seldom works with a studio.
Right.
And yeah, I would like to just keep on making independent films and get to a point where I can do this as my livelihood. I don't have a very strong ambition to get into the studio system
Mhm.
because I care so much about like my voice as a writer and a director, and I just fear about like getting too many people involved, too many producers, too many executives, and then changing things up too much to the point where it gets to the point where we're making a film where this isn't exactly like even my vision or my voice because we got processed through the Hollywood system.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely trying to stay independent and yeah.
I,
I mean
I think that's good.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
I remember Rob Tappert once saying to me, he said, somewhere in Hollywood, there's some guy on the 50th floor of some building I've never set foot in, some guy I've never met whose only job in the world is to fuck me up. And that's Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but so yeah, and then who knows what happens? If you manage to make a hit as an independent filmmaker, then Hollywood will come to you.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's inevitable.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm taking your first bit of advice. I mean, what I've done with my first two features is, I've just wrote scripts around the locations I have access to, and yeah, just made what I could make.
Yep.
And I mean, I think honestly, the beauty with comedy, especially, is you don't need big budgets, and like the style that I'm doing,
Yeah.
it's you don't need a ton of resources. You really don't. Like, I haven't really had to make a ton of sacrifices in the films I've wanted to make.
Well, I think another thing is that the kinds of films you make, you don't need big stars
Right.
for. Uh, yeah, people that age are natural actors and can do it. They know
Yeah.
they know those parts.
Yeah.
They know those people. So it's a good deal for you.
Hmm.
I thought
Yeah.
from what I could see that it was really you had chosen your cast well and your script was good and
Oh well, thank you very much.
I can hardly wait for the
Yeah.
premiere.
Oh, I'm so pumped as well. And yeah, I just another thing that's so great is the cast is primarily acting students from Michigan
Yeah.
State University and University of Michigan, and it's like just universities just have such great actors. And it's we help each other out. I mean, like I want to make this movie, and they want to be able to get to experience on film sets, and it's a really mutually beneficial experience for everyone.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just starting to wrap things up. A few questions I ask all my guests.
Okay.
Number one, if there was one writer and/or director you could work with, who would it be?
Um, Currently, Mike Lee.
Mike Lee. Okay.
Uh, he makes a film which the script is simply created out of improvisations on the part of the actors over a long period, like 10-week period.
Hmm.
But his films are pretty close to life. Other than that, maybe Almodovar. I would love to
Hmm.
work with him.
One performer that you would like to work with?
Kate Blanchett.
What is she in?
Every movie of the last 20 years, practically.
Okay, I'm sure I know her face, but
Yeah, she's won a couple of Oscars and been nominated for a lot more. Um, yeah, she was in Lord of the Rings.
okay.
Zenny, she played I think the Elf Queen or whatever. Um,
Uh-huh.
yeah, she's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And shame on you for not knowing her.
I'm sure I know her. It's just the name, yeah.
Happen if Kate Blanchett called you and said, "Hi, this is Kate Blanchett. I want to be in your movie," and you said, "I don't know who you
Yeah. Yeah, that would not be good.
not good."
Yeah. And then lastly, what are your top 5 comedy movies of all time?
Bringing Up Baby, 1938, Cary Grant, and hello. Are we still here?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I've just lost the picture somehow.
Oh, I can see you and hear you fine.
Okay, Bringing Up Baby, 1938, Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn. Um, His Girl Friday, Rosalind Russell and Cary Grant. Let me think what else. Funny movies. I tell you, one movie that really, it's not a great movie, but it
Mhm.
had effect on me, and that was Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. And I like that because I like the combination of horror and comedy.
Hmm.
At one moment you're screaming with laughter, the next minute you're screaming with fear. And that has sort of affected me when I write horror films. I always like to write comedy
Yeah.
into. Um, okay, so what else though? There have been some funny movies, surely. Uh, yeah, well, you might have to be satisfied with three of them because I can't think of what the others would be. Huh, isn't that
Right.
interesting?
Uh,
Ah, indeed. Very strange. Well, I guess going back in time, then I guess I would say Gold Rush, Charlie Chaplin, uh,
okay.
The General, Buster Keaton. Yeah, Marx Brothers are always good.
Maybe something from Mel Brooks.
No, not really. I mean,
You don't like him?
I do like him, but I don't. They're not among my very favorites. There are
Okay.
there are moments in Mel Brooks films which I
Yeah.
think excruciatingly funny, but a lot of them are sort of cheap shots, I think.
Okay. Uh,
Who else? Who are the other comedy directors?
David Zucker.
No. No.
No, not him. I mean, a lot of my favorites are going to be modern ones like Judd
Of course.
Apatow and Todd Phillips and Seth
Of course.
MacFarlane and
Of course. Of course. Hmm. I don't know. I'm trying to think of any that I've seen recently. I like to take my grandchildren to see movies,
yeah.
but mostly those are animation.
Hmm.
Yeah. Hmm. Interesting. Well, on another day, you'd have found me full of comedy films, but I can't think of any right now.
Well, you only have one. I believe in you. I think you can come up with one more.
Oh no. Why, one more, one more, one more. Funny films. Hmm. Hmm. Well, I guess I could do a Mel Brooks. I guess Young Frankenstein
Okay.
would make
That
that.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
that works. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Bill, for joining us. A
Well,
lot of
you're
fun
welcome,
talking to you.
Benjamin. It's a pleasure.